It was Ba Mui, on a Thursday evening in Denver, and the radiator in my modest two-bedroom ranch house was doing that thing it does every November, clicking and hissing like it's arguing with the weather. Adam with Thinga. Would also dem with that also Zafrans. With a batig de. Would also did knows. I sat at my kitchen table. The same one I'd built 30 years ago. From reclaimed oak. Running my calloused fingers over the grain. While staring at my phone. My son's name sat there on the screen. 3 missed calls. I'd been ignoring them for 20 minutes because I knew what was coming. Another request. Another expensive addition to a wedding that had already spiraled so far beyond what I'd ever imagined that I'd stopped trying to make sense of it. I'm Robert Callahan. I'm 63 years old, and I've spent 42 of those years running Callahan Sons Construction. Started with nothing but a used truck and a toolbox my father left me. Built it into something solid. 30 employees. Contracts all over the metro area. Reputation that meant something. I'm not wealthy. Not by their standards anyway. But I'm comfortable. Paid off this house 20 years ago. Never owed anybody anything I couldn't settle by Friday. My son David is 31. Smart kid. Good heart. Or at least he used to have one before he met Vanessa Ashford-Pierce. Yes. She hyphenates. Yes. She makes sure you know it. They'd been together for 2 years. Engaged for 8 months. And in that time, I'd watched my son transform from the boy who used to work summers on my crew, who knew the satisfaction of a hard day's work, into someone I barely recognized. The phone buzzed again. Dad. Finally. Did you get my messages? Just got in from a site inspection, I lied. What's going on? Vanessa's mom needs to talk to you about the rehearsal dinner. Can you call her? She's been trying to reach you. I felt my jaw tighten. Patricia Ashford-Pierce, the woman who'd corrected my grammar at our first meeting, who'd asked what country club my family belonged to, who'd physically recoiled when I told her I owned a construction company. Manual labor, she'd said. Like, I'd announced I had a communicable disease. David, I already agreed to pay for the rehearsal dinner. $25,000 for 100 people at that steakhouse downtown. What else could she possibly need? There was a pause. She wants to change the venue. The Ashford family has a connection at the Cherry Hills Country Club. It's more appropriate for the guest list. More appropriate? My knuckles went white around the phone. Son, I've already put down a deposit. Non-refundable. I know, Dad. But this is important to Vanessa's family. They have investors and business associates coming. The optics matter. Optics. That word. I'd heard it probably 50 times in the last 8 months. Everything was about optics now. Number cent. How much more are we talking? Another pause. Longer this time. 48,000. But it includes the golf course view. And $48,000 for a dinner? I stood up, my chair scraping against the linoleum I'd installed myself. David, that's more than I paid for my first house. Dad, please. Vanessa's father is covering the wedding venue and reception. Her family is paying for so much. Can't you do this one thing? Way. His no cominess. Way. His one thing. I'd already paid for his engagement ring 15 grand for something I could have built better in my workshop. I'd covered the wedding planner's fee because Vanessa needs help coordinating with our kind of vendors. I'd written checks for the bachelor party weekend in Aspen. For the custom suits. For deposits on honeymoon plans I hadn't even been consulted about. Let me think about it. I said, Dad, they need to know by tomorrow. The club has limited availability. I said I'll think about it. I hung up before he could say anything else. Sat there, in my kitchen, looking around at the home I'd built with my own hands, the cabinets I'd crafted, the flooring I'd laid, the window frames I'd installed. Everything solid, everything real, everything authentic, not like what my son was becoming. The next morning, I called Patricia Ashford-Pierce. She answered on the first ring, her voice dripping with that particular tone wealthy people use when they're about to ask someone beneath them for money. Robert, so glad you called. David mentioned the rehearsal dinner situation. Mrs. Ashford-Pierce. Patricia, please. We're going to be family. I doubted she actually believed that. Patricia. About the venue change. 48,000 is a significant increase from what we discussed. Well, yes. But you understand, the guest list has evolved. We're having several prominent business leaders attend, CEOs, board members. The Ashfords have a reputation to maintain. The original venue, while I'm sure it's perfectly fine for regular events, doesn't quite align with the image we need to project. Regular events. I felt something cold settle in my chest. And frankly, Robert, she continued, her voice dropping like she was sharing a confidence. Vanessa mentioned you might be bringing some of your work crew to the rehearsal dinner. We need a venue that can accommodate that. A dynamic, appropriately. Dynamic? You know. The social mixing. Cherry Hills has a more controlled environment, separate areas for different tiers of guests. It'll be more comfortable for everyone. Thanks for watching. In the next time, different tiers. I repeated slowly. Oh, don't take it the wrong way. It's just that Vanessa's Harvard classmates and your construction workers might not have much to talk about. You see, this way, everyone can enjoy themselves with their own kind. I'm sure you understand. I understood perfectly. Let me discuss it with David, I said. I'll get back to you by this evening. Wonderful. Oh, and Robert? About the wedding itself. We'll need to coordinate your entrance timing. You're walking in during the family processional. And we want to ensure you're presentable. Perhaps we could arrange for a stylist. Vanessa's father has an excellent tailor. Who could? I have a suit, I said. Yes, I'm sure you do. But this is a black tie event. Very formal, very photographed. We just want to make sure everyone looks cohesive. The Ashford family has standards. There it was. The thing that had been building for 8 months crystallized into one sentence. Standards. Implying I didn't meet them. Implying I never would. I'll call you later, I said, and hung up. I sat in my truck in the parking lot of a job site, watching my crew frame up a new medical building. Manuel, my foreman for 15 years, was directing 2 younger guys on the proper way to set a beam. Good men. Honest men. Men who showed up every day, did quality work, took pride in their craft. My own kind, Patricia had said. The wedding was in 3 weeks. I'd already sunk over $60,000 into this event. The question was, how much was my dignity worth? I called my lawyer, Frank Morrison. We'd gone to high school together, back when Cherry Hills Country Club wouldn't have let either of us through the front door. Frank, hypothetical question. If I'm funding my son's wedding, and I decide to withdraw that funding, what's my legal exposure? Hypothetical question. Did you sign a contract? Just wrote checks. No contracts. Then it's a gift. You can stop giving gifts whenever you want. Why? Just wondering. I hung up and opened my laptop. Started making a list. Every vendor, every deposit, every payment I'd made. Next to each one, I wrote down the contact information, the cancellation policies I'd been sent. Most required 30 days notice for a full refund. Some were non-refundable, but I'd get partial back. I wasn't planning anything yet. Just looking at my options. That evening, David called again. Dad, did you talk to Patricia? I did. And I'm thinking about it. Dad, come on. This is important. Vanessa's really stressed about this. Her mother wants everything to be perfect. David, can I ask you something? When did you stop caring about what I think? Endry, silence. That's not fair, he finally said. Isn't it? When's the last time you asked my opinion about any of this? The venue, the flowers, the photographer, the band. I write the checks. But nobody asks what I think, because you don't understand this world, Dad. This isn't a backyard barbecue. This is a major social event. There are expectations. There are expectations. I understand that your fiancé's mother thinks I'm not good enough to eat dinner with her business associates. She didn't say that. She said, I need to be seated with my own kind, at a separate tier. What exactly do you think that means? More silence. Then, Dad, she's just trying to make sure everyone's comfortable. Don't read into it. I'm reading it exactly as it was written, son. So what? You're going to bail on the rehearsal dinner? Because your feelings are hurt? That stung. Is that what you think this is about? When the way, I think you're being stubborn. I think you've never liked Vanessa's family, because they have money. And now, you're using this as an excuse to, I've never liked Vanessa's family because they treat me like the help. I said, my voice harder than I'd intended. And apparently, you're okay with that now. Jesus Christ, Dad. Not everything is about you. This is my wedding, that I'm paying for, and we're grateful. But gratitude doesn't mean we have to do everything exactly how you want it. I never said that. I just expected basic respect. You're being ridiculous. I'll talk to you when you've calmed down. He hung up. I stared at the phone, feeling something shift inside me. Something final. I opened my laptop again, looked at that list of vendors, made a decision. I called the steakhouse first, spoke to the manager, explained that I needed to cancel the rehearsal dinner. He was apologetic, but firm. I'd lose the full deposit, $12,000. I told him to proceed with the cancellation. Then I called the suit shop where I'd ordered custom tuxedos for David and his groomsmen. $6,000 total. The owner said I was past the return window, but since we'd been customers for years, he'd give me back half. I took it. I back taker. I ken my manner. I considerable won. Next was the florist. Vanessa had insisted on white orchids imported from Thailand. $17,000 worth. The florist said, I was cutting it close, but she could cancel and refund 80%. Done. The photographer. The videographer. The string quartet for the ceremony. The vintage car rental for the send-off. The luxury hotel block I'd reserved for out-of-town guests. One by one, I made the calls. Some people argued. Some tried to talk me out of it. Most were just shocked. But I was calm, methodical, professional. This is what I did for a living: managed projects, made decisions, executed plans. By 4 p.m., I'd canceled or reduced approximately $47,000 in wedding services. The non-refundable deposits stung, but I'd get back about $32,000. Then I did something else. I called every contractor, supplier, and business owner I'd worked with over 40 years. People who owed me favors. People who I'd given breaks to when they were starting out. People who valued our relationships. I explained the situation. Not everything, just enough. My son's getting married, and I'm stepping back from the financial side. If you get any calls from the Ashford-Pierce family, or a wedding planner named Christine Bordeaux, I'd appreciate it if you'd tell them you're fully booked. I didn't have to ask twice. In the construction world, loyalty means something. By midnight, I'd made 38 phone calls, caterers, tent rental companies, lighting specialists, equipment providers, even the company that was supposed to supply the portable air conditioning for the outdoor reception. All suddenly, mysteriously, unavailable. I didn't sleep much that night. Kept running through it in my head, wondering if I was being petty, vindictive, if I'd regret this. But then I'd remember Patricia's voice. Your own kind. David's voice. You don't understand this world. You don't understand this world. Maybe I didn't. But I understood what it felt like. To be treated like I was less than human. Because I worked with my hands, instead of pushing papers. The call came at Sao. 4:17 a.m. Vanessa. hysterical. What did you do? Good morning, Vanessa. Don't you good morning me. The steakhouse just called. Our rehearsal dinner is cancelled. And the florist, and the photographer. What the hell is happening? I'm withdrawing my financial support. I said calmly. I've decided not to contribute to the wedding anymore. You can't do that. I just did. This is insane. The wedding is in 3 weeks. Do you have any idea what you've done? I have a very precise idea. I've saved myself from being treated like an embarrassment at my own son's wedding. This is because of what my mother said. Are you kidding me? You're going to ruin David's wedding. Because your mother said I needed to be seated separately from the important guests. She suggested I might make people uncomfortable. She asked if I could be made more presentable. Should I continue? She was trying to help. She was trying to make sure everyone had a good time. By segregating me from the rest of the guests? By being practical. God, why are you so sensitive? So what if you're blue collar? Nobody cares. Apparently, your family cares very much. David's going to hate you for this. Probably, I said, but at least I'll have my dignity. She hung up. 20 minutes later, David called. I didn't answer. He called again. And again. By 10 a.m., I had 17 missed calls. I went to work. Had a full schedule of site visits, inspections, meetings with subcontractors. Kept my phone on silent. Did my job. At lunch, I had 43 missed calls and 27 text messages. The texts ranged from pleading to enraged to desperate. David, Vanessa, Patricia, even Vanessa's father, whom I'd met exactly twice, sent a message calling me unreasonable and vindictive. Around high p.m., my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. I answered, Mr. Callahan, this is Christine Bordeaux. I'm the wedding planner for David and Vanessa. I know who you are. I understand there's been some confusion about the wedding arrangements. I'd love to sit down with you and work through this. I'm sure we can find a solution that makes everyone happy. There's no confusion, Christine. I'm not paying for the wedding anymore. Mr. Callahan, I have to be honest with you. With 3 weeks to go, the damage you've done today is catastrophic. Many vendors are now unavailable or demanding payment up front due to the cancellations. The couple is facing potential losses in excess of $80,000 if they can't secure replacement services. That's unfortunate. Sir, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've seen family drama derail weddings before. But this is scorched earth. Is that really what you want? To destroy your son's wedding day? I'm not destroying anything. I'm simply declining to fund an event where I'm considered too embarrassing to be seen. With all due respect, sometimes we have to swallow our pride for the people we love. With all due respect, Christine, why is it always the person being disrespected who's told to swallow their pride? Why is nobody telling David's future in-laws to swallow theirs? She was quiet for a moment. What would it take for you to reconsider? An apology. A genuine one, from Patricia, from Vanessa, and from my son. And a complete overhaul of the wedding. Plans to something that doesn't cost more than a down payment on a house. That's not going to happen. Then I guess we don't have anything else to discuss. I hung up. Felt a strange sense of calm wash over me. I'd spent 8 months being pushed around, dismissed, treated like my only value was the size of my checkbook. Not anymore. By evening, the situation had escalated beyond anything I'd anticipated. Patricia Ashford-Pierce had apparently spent the afternoon calling every vendor in the Denver metro area and discovered that, mysteriously, suddenly, nobody was available. The caterer David had originally wanted a local guy who did amazing barbecue, who I'd used for company events, called me around 6 p.m. Hey Bob, got a weird call today from some lady asking about catering a wedding for 300 people in 3 weeks. She mentioned your name, so I figured I should check with you first. Thanks for calling, Marco. What did you tell her? Told her I was booked solid through Christmas. Which I am now. Since you know, I'd never take a job connected to someone who disrespected you. I appreciate that. No problem, man. You gave me my first big contract 10 years ago. I don't forget stuff like that. Thanks for watching. That's what Patricia didn't understand. In my world, relationships matter. Trust matters. Loyalty is currency. You can't buy that at Cherry Hills Country Club. David showed up at my house at 10 p.m. Didn't knock. Just used his key and walked in. Found me in the garage, organizing tools. Dad, we need to talk. I'm listening. You need to undo what you did today. Not going to happen. Dad. His voice cracked. This is my wedding. Mine and Vanessa's. You're destroying it because you got your feelings hurt. I set down the wrench I was holding. Looked at my son. Really looked at him. The boy who used to bring me lemonade on job sites. Who'd learned to drive in my truck. Who'd called me his hero in a Father's Day card when he was 12. David. When did I become someone you're ashamed of? I'm not. Don't lie to me. When did working with my hands become something embarrassing? When did this house, this life I built, become something you need to hide? I don't hide it. You let Vanessa's mother talk about seating me separately so I wouldn't contaminate the important guests. She didn't mean it like that. Then how did she mean it, son? Explain to me how suggesting I'm not fit to eat dinner with your fiancé's business associates is anything other than classist bullshit. It's not about class. It's about, what? Optics? Image? Marketability? I stepped closer. When did my son become someone who cares more about how things look than what they actually are? He looked away. Couldn't meet my eyes. Vanessa's family is important. They have connections. They can help with my career. And there it is. What? You're trading me for a career ladder. That's not fair, isn't it? You want their money, their connections, their world, and I'm the embarrassing price of admission you're willing to pay. Dad, please. I love her. I want to marry her. Can't we get past this? Sure. Apologize. Have Vanessa apologize. Have her mother apologize. Show me that you understand why what they did was wrong. But they don't think they did anything wrong. I know, that's the problem. He stood there, jaw working, fists clenched. I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you're asking me to tolerate being treated like garbage at my own son's wedding. Fine. His voice went cold. Fine. We'll have the wedding without you. We'll figure it out. And you can live with knowing you chose your pride over your son. David, he was already walking away. Heard the front door slam, stood there in my garage, surrounded by 40 years' worth of accumulated tools and materials, and felt something break inside me that I knew would never be fixed. The next 2 weeks were hell. Messages from family members begging me to reconsider. My sister called me cruel. Begging. My mother, David's grandmother, cried on the phone, asking how I could do this to my boy. Nobody wanted to hear about what had actually happened. Just that I'd canceled the wedding. I didn't cancel the wedding. I just stopped paying for a celebration where I was considered substandard. But the story that spread was different. Patricia Ashford-Pierce was apparently a master of spin. According to the version making rounds in her social circle, I was a controlling father who'd tried to dictate every detail of the wedding and threw a tantrum when I didn't get my way. 2 of my oldest clients called to delicately ask if everything was okay. Word was spreading. I found out through the grapevine that David and Vanessa had secured emergency funding from Vanessa's father. The wedding was back on, scaled down, but happening, at Cherry Hills Country Club, of course. No expense spared for the Ashford-Pierce family's reputation. I wasn't invited. David made that clear through a text message. Since you obviously don't support this marriage, your presence isn't required. That hurt more than I'd expected. I'd been angry, yes. Determined. Yes, but some part of me had hoped it wouldn't come to this, that my son would choose me, would see what his future in-laws were doing, would stand up for his father. He didn't. The wedding happened on a Saturday in early December. I know because I drove past Cherry Hills that afternoon. Saw the cars lined up, the valets in red jackets, the carefully curated display of wealth and status. My son was inside, marrying into a family that looked down on everything I'd built, everything I was. I went home, sat in my kitchen, thought about calling him. Didn't. The thing nobody tells you about burning bridges is that you never know if you made the right choice until years later. Maybe I was stubborn. Maybe I should have been the bigger person, but I kept coming back to Patricia's words. Your own kind. David's words. You don't understand this world. They were right. I didn't understand a world where your value is determined by your tax bracket instead of your character, where a father's 40 years of hard work and sacrifice could be dismissed because he didn't wear the right suit or belong to the right club. 3 days after the wedding, Vanessa called. I almost didn't answer. Thanks for watching. The next I did, what do you want? We need to talk about the gifts. Excuse me, the wedding gifts. Several of your business associates sent gifts to the house. Expensive ones. We need you to return them. Wedding gifts so. We need you to return them. Wedding gifts so. Wedding gifts so. I sat down. Took a breath. Why would I return gifts addressed to you and David? Because they only sent them because of you. They don't actually care about us. It's fake. Just like your concern for David. We don't want fake gifts from your blue-collar buddies, feeling obligated. My blue-collar buddies. I repeated. You know what I mean. They're not our people. They wouldn't have sent gifts if not for you pressuring them. I didn't pressure anyone. Whatever. We don't want them. You can pick them up. Or, we're donating them. She hung up. I sat there, staring at my phone, realizing that this wasn't just about a wedding anymore. This was about my son, completely rejecting everything I was, everything I'd taught him. I called Frank. My lawyer. Frank. Hypothetical. If I wanted to update my will, how quickly could that happen? Couple of days. Why? Just making some changes. I didn't cut David out entirely. I'm not that vengeful. But the bulk of my estate, the business I'd built, the properties I'd acquired, the carefully accumulated wealth of 40 years of labor, that was getting divided among charities, scholarships for trade schools, and my key employees. David would get the house and a modest trust fund. Enough to be comfortable, but nothing like what he'd expected. Nothing he could use to buy his way into Vanessa's world. A month after the wedding, David called. First time since that night in my garage. Dad. We need to talk. I'm listening. I've been thinking about what happened. About the wedding and everything. My heart jumped. An apology. Finally. And I think I'm entitled to some answers. Or not. I found out about the will. He continued. Grandma told me you changed it. You're really going to leave your business to your employees instead of your own son? I'm leaving you the house and a trust fund. That's more than most people get. But the business? That's supposed to be mine. Callahan. Sons. I'm the son. You stopped being interested in the business when you decided construction work was beneath you. I never said that. You didn't have to. Every time Vanessa's family mocked what I do, you stood silent. Every time they suggested I wasn't good enough, you agreed through your inaction. So this is punishment? You're punishing me for marrying the woman I love? I'm acknowledging reality. You chose a different life, one where my world doesn't fit. So I'm leaving my world to people who actually value it. This is insane. You're insane. I'm your son. I'm. And you stood by while your fiancé's mother called me your own kind. Like I was a different species. You told me I didn't understand your world. You uninvited me from your wedding. You You tell Day. You dated. What exactly did you expect? I expected you to be an adult. To get over yourself. And support me. I did support you. For 31 years. Paid for your education. Your car. Your apartment. Your engagement ring. Worked 60-hour weeks so you could have opportunities I never did. And the moment I asked for basic respect, you threw me away. Silence on the other end. Then, Vanessa was right about you. You're bitter and controlling, and you can't stand that I don't need you anymore. Is that what she says? That's what everyone says. Her family, our friends, everyone. You're the problem, Dad. Not me. Not them. You. The problem, Dad. You. If that's what you believe, then I guess we don't have anything left to discuss. I guess not. He hung up. And that was it. No reconciliation. No apology. No acknowledgement of what had been done to me. 6 months later, I heard through family that David and Vanessa were having problems, money issues. Turns out, Vanessa's father's wealth was mostly leveraged debt and social positioning. The big house, the country club membership, the luxury cars all financed to the hilt. David had quit his engineering job to work for Vanessa's father's investment firm, which apparently was more about appearances than actual investments. Now he was stuck in a failing business, with no real skills. Beyond what I'd taught him on construction sites 20 years ago, part of me wanted to feel vindicated. Told you so. But mostly, I just felt sad. My sister called with updates I didn't ask for. David had reached out to some of my former employees, asking if there were any positions available. They'd all said no. Not out of loyalty to me. I'd never asked them to freeze out my son. They just didn't respect someone who'd looked down on the trade for so long, and only came back when convenient. A year after the wedding, David showed up at my house. Didn't call first. Just appeared on my doorstep one Tuesday evening, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Can I come in? I stepped aside. Let him in. We sat at the kitchen table, the one I'd built, in the house I'd maintained, surrounded by all the evidence of a life he'd once called insufficient. I made a mistake, he finally said. Which one? All of them. The wedding. Vanessa's family. Everything. What happened? Everything fell apart. Her father's company is bankrupt. We're drowning in debt. Vanessa. She's different now. When there's no money, no status, she's someone I don't even recognize. Or maybe she's always been that person. And I just didn't want to see it. Why are you telling me this? Because I was wrong. About you. About what matters. About everything. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Dad. And little matters. I looked at my son. Saw the exhaustion. The regret. The genuine remorse. Also saw the desperation. The recognition that he'd burned his bridges and now needed somewhere to land. I appreciate the apology. I said slowly. I really do. Can we fix this? Can I come back? Can I come back? Come back to what? The business? My life? The world you were so eager to escape? I know I don't deserve it. But I'm asking. I'm begging. I'll work any position, any hours. I'll prove that I've changed. Have you? Or are you just out of options? He flinched. That's fair. And honest? I don't know. Maybe both. But I want to change. I want to be the son you raised. Not the person I became. I sat there for a long moment, looking at this 32-year-old man who was once my little boy. Part of me wanted to say yes. To fix it. To go back. To rebuild. But another part remembered standing in my garage, listening to him choose pride over family. Remembered the text message, uninviting me from his wedding. Remembered. You don't understand this world. I'm not saying no, I said finally. But I'm not saying yes either. You want back in? You start at the bottom. Laborer wages. Prove you can show up, do the work, not complain about getting your hands dirty. No special treatment because you're my son. You earn your way back. I'll do it. And you make things right with the people you disrespected. My employees. My friends. The vendors you and Vanessa look down on. You apologize. And you mean it. Done. And David? This is it. This is your one chance. You mess this up, walk away again, decide this life isn't good enough. There's no coming back a second time. You understand? I understand. We shook hands across that kitchen table. Father and son, both older now, both scarred. I didn't know if this would work. Didn't know if David had really changed, or if this was just temporary desperation. But I'm a builder. I know that sometimes you have to tear everything down to the foundation before you can construct something solid. Maybe we could build something new. Maybe not. But at least now, my son knew what that foundation cost, and what happened when you tried to build on sand instead. Time would tell if he'd learned the lesson. But either way, I'd kept my dignity, and in my world, that still meant something.